who are you and what do you do here on the internet or in general? What kind of things do you do when you post things uh, on Instagram and social media? What do you do?
So yeah, I'm tacos. I'm awkward, human, um, kind of nerdy, kind of obnoxious at times. Um, yeah, no. How do I answer that? I've been a human for I don't know how many years, and I still don't know how to introduce myself. What the heck? I've been on national TV, and then, yeah, I still have difficulty like expressing or like sharing about myself. My goodness. I should just we need to come with a manual. This is how you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Tacos and I'm awkward. Um, yeah, I teach engineering with Lego. I did not grow up with Lego, and so this is something that came into adulthood after I graduated college. Um, that was the first time I ever actually experienced Lego, and yeah, I sometimes do social media. I feel horrible bringing this up now. You tend to hang out with like streamers and content creators. I hate to say that. I don't know. I don't think I qualify as someone that's a content creator.
Yeah.
Just because on Instagram it started with me. Well, actually, it started with technically MySpace, right?
Hmm.
Can actually no,
It
before
counts.
MySpace, I had something called Asian Avenue. I don't know if you remember that.
No,
Oh, did I really express my age? Oh,
I'm actually not familiar with that. What would tell me
oh,
about that?
so there was like Live Journal, there was
Okay.
Asian Avenue, there was
Okay.
yeah, there was one for Hispanics. I think it was called Mi Gente, but I don't know. I think that one was like an age requirement. It was like where you, it wasn't like a dating thing, but it was kind of like a MySpace.
I
You
see.
couldn't really customize music, but you could upload pictures, you could change the background a bit. There was nothing scrolling like MySpace. Um, but yeah, you could befriend people, and yeah, I remember I went to high school, and all my friends, most of my friends were Asian, so they're like, oh yeah, I even tried joining a female football league, but you had to be Asian, so I passed off for Laotian and French, so that's where they got me at,
I
and then
love
they
it.
found out that I was Dominican, and they're like, you gotta get out.
You're like, wait.
Like, "Oh I tried.
How did that? Okay, wait. I gotta take a slight detour here because how did that conversation go? Was it exactly like that where they're just like,
Well, I came from a really small town. Like I couldn't like go to the mailbox without running into someone. So they saw me talking Spanish to my family, and they're like, "Oh," they assumed I was Filipino.
yeah,
At the same time, I'm like, "No, no, no Pinoy here," or anything like that. I was like, "Yeah." They saw me being more dominant in Spanish than I was trying to learn Hmong at the time.
hmm,
So and then I was trying to speak Khmer. I was like, okay, Khmer is a little bit easier for me. And no, 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 I flopped.
I
They
love
they
that.
they they could tell. They were like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love
But I
that.
no one could ever decipher what my ethnicity is. I'm kind of like on the same island that Keanu Reeves and Tiger Woods is from. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
I love
anyways,
I love that. So Asian Avenue was kind of like
yeah, it
a
was
what?
Asian Avenue. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
This is
no,
like
I love that.
this was like before. I think before MySpace, or maybe around the
Around the
MySpace time.
same around the same time. Look, I'll tell you, I was doing I was on MySpace, so, if that's to share or, like, hint at my own age as well, I totally remember the MySpace days too, so probably around the same time while you were like, if I had known about Asian Avenue, I probably would've been right there because 'cause I'm Filipino,
Oh,
so,
yeah, yeah.
I would've loved to have jumped on that, but I like that you brought up a point about, I bring on a lot all these streamers and these creators and content like people, and I appreciate you calling that out because I was going to mention that I'm aware that that's not really your focus per se. I mean, I know you do things on Instagram. I know that you've got a presence there. I know you do AFOL After Dark, and honestly, I'll be real, that's enough for me. Like I try to invite people who this might sound a little hokey, but like who create things or who are into creating things, and I still view you as someone who loves to create and do things. Like, I mean, you're a big Lego fan, right? And so you just a little, just a little bit. And so I mean, it still meets my personal qualifications for bringing people on this show. So I appreciate you being honest with me. I think that I still wouldn't have it any other way as having someone like you on here to talk about the things that you're passionate about, which includes Lego, includes STEM, and anything else you want to talk about today. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you Asian Asian
So
avid.
basically, thank you for not kicking me off.
No, yeah. I just like end it here. Okay, thanks. That was it. Thanks. We're done. No, absolutely. I mean, I still want to get to know, your story, and you mentioned briefly, you didn't grow up with Lego. Let's start there. Tell me about how you got into Legos, because I imagine it's such a big part of your life now. Um, I'd love to find out how you got into it.
So for me, I grew up in a traditional Dominican household where women play is not a focus when you're a child. You're brought up to, I hate to say it, and you're pushed into a domestic role to learn how to raise a family kind of thing. So the priority is like you clean the house. Before I were to ever leave the house to play in the yard, you clean the house, you did the dishes, you took care of your brother's room, you did this, you did that. And it's like I had to fill out this whole requirement before I were to leave the house. Never mind my brother, he just deuces and then he just gets to go play outside. So for me, all the toys that I got was pots and pans, dolls, stuffed animals.
Right.
So that's basically I did play a lot of video games as a kid. So I got to have that. But I was never exposed to Lego. Lego is just something it's a sorry to say it's someone who could afford the hobby. It's something that's yeah, it's not a poor man's hobby. For
Yeah.
Hispanics, sorry, for poor people, it's a more affordable to give you a basketball or a baseball because everyone could use it. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Hmm.
yeah, everyone's gonna be active. Everyone's gonna be out of the house. So we grew up in the era that we played outside. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We didn't play inside. We didn't have all the crazy electronics, or they didn't have that stuff back then. So yeah, um, come back inside the house and you had some kind of responsibility. I was mostly inside the house because I grew up with very overprotective parents, but I played with dolls, Barbie dolls mainly. And so from there, I got bored easily. So I saw and drew inspiration for my sister. She went to school for fashion industry. So I picked up a lot of her skills by viewing the design that she would create. And I would make clothes for my dolls. And then I was my father's right hand man, so I used power tools. Actually, the power tools that my brothers didn't use, I used. So I had a Makita by the age 11. So you know what I mean. Like I learned how to use power tools, and I was really good at holding a flashlight. uh, but like I helped build a shed for my dolls and stuff like that. So I was able to build a lot of skills, including building communities for my dolls. So I learned how to score boxes and build structures for them, build houses, all out of like Quaker oatmeal containers, cereal boxes, milk cartons and stuff like that. So I reused all that to build like little communities for my dolls. So that was basically my first engineering architecture style play. Beyond that, it was just always combing the doll's hair and learning how to melt their hair by ironing it and making it straight kind of thing and getting crazy off the fumes. Yeah, and then fast forward, I was working at KB Toys. I don't know if you remember KB
Oh
Toys.
yeah, I do.
I was a roller girl, and my job was to be a shopping assistant, and I would recommend people down the pink aisle and down the craft aisle and down. We didn't call it the Lego aisle. We called it, I think, the blocks aisle. And that was my first experience with Lego, just seeing it in boxes and then coming across people who would come in super early on the days we had shipment to look for specific pieces, for, not specific pieces, specific sets. And then it was between that and the McFarlane figures.
Mhm.
So I just remember coming across and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like 42 years old. Like, here I am as a teenager, like thinking that. And realize that here I am, fast forward, and I'm doing the same thing.
You're doing the
I'm
same
there
thing.
lining up like one of them. Yeah, so not even in high school. Then fast forward during college, I started teaching preschool shortly after, and I saw we had a Lego table, and they would always have like the same three boys playing there.
Mm,
Not many other kids really played with it. It was just more like keep the hands busy, not really creating. There was a lot of storytelling, but there wasn't real creations. There weren't
mhm,
like I don't remember any mocks or anything like
mhm,
that. Then while I was in college, I went back to school for engineering. I stepped away from preschool, early childhood education,
mhm.
and I wanted to do something more because just dealing with bureaucratic stuff, dealing with administration, I was just like, I can't see myself doing this just because I would end up working till 8 o'clock on a Friday and there would be no overtime. All my money would be spent in the classroom. So once I left that field of teaching in preschool, I went back to school for engineering and I still missed preschool. I still have this huge passion for kids. I'm really bad when it comes to um, hanging out with adults because I can never remember anyone's name. But if you have a child, I'm just like right there with them
Mhm.
because that's like my attention span right there. So like I feel like I have more in common with a child. So yeah, once I was in college, we got into 3D making, 3D model making, and I loved that. And I was like, "Oh, like, I wish this was more tangible." So they're like, "Oh, well, you should have gone to school for carpentry." I'm like, "It's a little late. Like,
Yeah.
I don't wanna change this. I wanna continue having something that's a little bit more tangible. Because using Revit and using, um, what is it, 3D Max, 3 or whatever, video
Yeah.
game stuff, like, that didn't interest me. I hated working on the computer.
Mhm.
So once it came to doing something like with my hands, I just would want to stay and dedicate my time to that. I focused more on that than anything. So once I graduated college, um, before I graduated college, I remember my professors. They always were curious with me. They're like, "What are you gonna do?" Because I hate to say the term. I'm like a blonde, but because they're like, "Oh, tacos, you you can't do basic math, but you could do this quantitative stuff. How is it that you can't? You're missing some basic math, but you're doing like ultra high level stuff at the same time." My brain is weird. Everything I designed in college was very unconventional. It was very whimsical. So everything was child based. Um, when I had gone back to college, I was a full on blown adult. Like I was buying booze for certain people. Sorry to say it like that. You know what I mean? Like I had gone to college with a bunch of kids that were just fresh out of high school. So, a lot of they were able to retain this information. So for me, I had to improvise and I had to think outside the box to put myself on the board to make a place for myself at the table compared to these kids, you know. So everything I did come up with was weird. Like they'll be like, all right, design a bus stop for so and so museum. Everything would be child based, like it
Yeah.
wouldn't have like regular benches. I would have swings, you know what I mean? I would
Mm,
have just I would just try and make it a little bit different. So yeah, after college, I landed a job teaching engineering with Lego, which is something that I was looking forward to because I still wanted to marry working with kids with engineering. So that's what I do now. Then during the pandemic, um, that company closed and I opened up Powered by Tacos. So now I take my show on the road. Wherever the client is, I basically pack up my stuff and go, like, what is it? This upcoming month, I'm going to I saw in the question, am I going to Atlanta BrickCon? Yes, I'm going to be going there, but I'm going there to work. I'm going to be teaching STEM classes there.
Mm.
Then, like a week after that, I'm going to like Minnesota, and I'm going and I'm going to be on the road again teaching STEM classes. So that's what I do now, and I I can brag that I get paid to play. So I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah. That's an incredible story, especially given your background describing never having worked with Lego, but it seems like uh you hinted at it, like you like to build things, you like to make things, and so it seems like just kind of the opportunity to work with children and teach through Lego seems like such a natural thing given your history, given the things that interested you, despite all the I think stereotypical things that you tried to your family raised you in. So I'm really glad that you kind of gave me that background because yeah, I think a lot of people like you may not have grown up with Lego, but they enjoy the act of building or designing or making cool things. And Lego, of course, is just one of those great tools that you can use to do that. And so, the fact that you now are doing what I imagine to be a dream job for you is pretty incredible. So, you know, you you got to work in using Lego to teach design and work with children. How many years has that been then? You said that was it
So for now, as of now, I believe I have been teaching engineering with Lego for a little over 9 years.
that's awesome. That's really cool. What for you has been some of the most like amazing things about that job over the years?
Um, I get to work with a lot of kids who are complex learners. Um, that's probably the best. When you have such a demographic that gets cast aside for annoying, for being too loud or being too picky, um, this is Lego is such an opportunity for them to grow and shine in. Um, you get to see someone who can't talk really express themselves with Lego. For someone who, even has difficulty with dexterity to try and assemble. Clutching with bricks is difficult, but seeing them try to use Lego as an art medium, to me it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um Working with girls. So yeah, once again, I went to school for architecture, engineering, design, and I was one of 9 women in my program. Um, it is a cutthroat program, especially for females. You would think that we would clutch together. Unfortunately, no, we didn't. It was
Yeah.
basically who is the best female out of all the females in the engineering department, and yeah,
Right.
there's that. But to still having some kind of representation there. So when I go to schools, I really try and push and advocate for kids getting into STEAM. And nothing wrong with being traditional. I love to cook for my family. I love to take care of my family. Family is everything. Family first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but having other options is nice. Having other skill levels is amazing. You know what I mean?
Right.
What is it? During the pandemic, most people lost their jobs and they quickly had to learn how to pick up another skill
Yeah.
or rely on another skill, you know? So that's very important to myself.
Yeah. I think that's incredible, and I think I really love the fact that you want to encourage more people to embrace those skills and learn them, and particularly girls, because, like you said, it's an underrepresented thing. I work in the tech industry in software, and it's like it's hard to get women in that field from many different reasons. So I totally understand that representation is huge. It's important because our work um, is often reflected by the people who do it, and so we want a broader appeal in terms of I'm going to admit we make games, right? So like we want not just your traditional dude making games. We want people from different backgrounds, women, different races, different like we want that representation. And so I appreciate you who is also doing that like on the education side, the science side, trying to get more girls excited about that stuff. So thank you for that work. That's awesome.
I get to do it.
Yeah, you get
I
to
get
do
to
it.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Um, given being excited about teaching and using Lego to do that, which is a phenomenal thing to get to do. Um, you also did find yourself on Lego Masters. Uh, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of that experience and how you got into that and what that was like for you?
So when I had seen so first and foremost, let's talk about before Lego Masters. So yeah, I
Okay.
was
Yeah,
teaching
absolutely.
engineering with
Yeah,
Lego.
yeah.
Um, then all of a sudden, company staff, we get an email saying there's a show called Lego Masters coming out. I'm like, of course there is a show called Lego Masters. Why isn't there?
Why wouldn't
You
there
know.
be?
But what was most important is that there were three familiar faces that were casted onto that first season, and three of
Mm,
those contestants worked for us.
really?
So one of them specifically was my manager for a very short period of time. So like we even got to build together. I'm like, of course he's on that. His name is Aaron Newman. He is now a senior Lego designer
That's
in Denmark.
cool.
Um, but yeah, so I got to build along with him. I got to to challenge be challenged. Be challenged. I'm making a mosaic and the homeboy's making like a three-dimensional light, and it's just like I had no idea. I was a baby. Um on this his caliber and his passion and tenacity and his knowledge of Lego.
Yeah.
The boy was born in a Lego placenta. So once I saw the email, I'm like, of course he's on it. Like I remember before he even came onto our team in New England, like I scoped him out. I'm like, he looks familiar. I'm like, I remember his website because there was a cool little build that he had provided instructions. So he's providing, instructions. So obviously he's gonna do well on the show.
Yeah.
So once Lego Masters came out, season two, I was like, I have no chance of being on the show. They had reached out to me for season two, and I didn't feel confident enough. But then once again, we talk about representation. I
Mhm.
look at Manny and Nestor from season one, a Puerto Rican father and son. You look at them, and I automatically identified with them. And I'm like, you know something? If Manny and Nestor can do it, I think I have a chance.
Mhm.
Manny and Nestor, they're not engineers. They're just regular father and son. They
Yeah.
just like to play with Lego. So when season three came around, it was it was easy. I was ready. I was ready. And yeah, my time on Lego Masters was short. It was fun. It was exhilarating. It's kind of like the Superman ride. It's
Yeah.
like you're in line for like about 2 hours to be on there for
The
60 seconds.
anticipation. Yeah.
The anticipation, the 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 stress of everything, the experience of getting ready for it
Yeah.
was unbelievable, and it goes by in a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
Not that I was there for such a short period, but it felt like such a short period because of the I don't want to say trauma, but like it's just really fast. It's like really fast. It's
Yeah.
like you go to the military, you do all this boot camp or whatever, you forget about that because you're just focused onto the next task. So like it's just hilariously short.
Yeah.
Like you forget about it. You forget about it. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. I definitely it's great that you describe it like that because I can imagine I mean, I can imagine a lot of the feelings that go into getting ready to do such a thing, and then being on the show, and then like you said, it's kind of over, like,
Yeah.
not because of the time you're on, but because of just how it felt in terms of time passing. It goes by
Yeah.
really quickly, and then there you go, it's done. How was that feeling for you, when you heard that you were actually going to be on the show? What was that like?
All right. So this is where people are gonna be like, all right, tacos, your time is up. You're too cocky. I knew my teammate and I had it in the bag. You look
Yeah.
at the demographic, you look at the AFOL community, and it's like 95% men, and it's like mostly white men. Sorry, that's how it is. European and white men. So
Yeah.
I was like, with our skill level, my
We
teammate,
got this.
she's extremely creative, she's extremely loud, so this is something that they haven't seen. So I knew it, like, as soon as we started auditioning, I'm like, it felt natural for me to communicate with her because we have so many similarities.
Hmm.
Like, it's scary. Even our first live stream, we we spontaneously wore, not spontaneously, we were like, all right, how about we just do a PJ day? We literally wore the same thing. It's just, I would send her a message, I'm at the gym. She would FaceTime me right away. And she's like, she's at the gym. I'm like, I'm meal prepping. She's meal prep. Like, it's just ridiculous how similar we were. So
Yeah.
the experience, the audition processing, the applying together, everything seemed very symbiotic. Is that the word, symbiotic? It's
Yeah.
just it just felt right the entire time. I knew
Yeah.
she was a little, more rambunctious than me. She makes me look like super boring. But she has a specific design process. So do I. I'm very free flowing. I do more structural stuff. She is color theory and storytelling. So like it was like a perfect marriage. So once the show was on, once we got cast, I'm like, of course. She was worried. I'm like, no, look at everyone else in
Yeah.
the casting auditions. Some people couldn't even make eye contact. So I was like, of course we got this. We got this.
Yeah.
It's a TV show first. It's a
Hmm.
competition second.
Hmm.
So we have to remember that. And they need representation because we want other people to apply. We want other people to be exposed to Lego. We want to see the community grow.
Yeah.
So, call me pompous, but yeah, I knew we had it in the bag. But even when you get first flown out, there are alternates there.
Mm.
And uh, someone told me that it was in case someone got hit with COVID. Okay, but I think it was another audition, and so they could see you because how many content creators are fantastic with the content, but you try having a conversation with them and they're kind of like dull. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
They're really good at making reels, but to actually have a conversation, it's just
It's a different skill
it,
set.
it's a different
Absolutely.
skill set, exactly. So
Hmm.
yeah, so we had to show up again when it came to first being flown down, and then that entire experience after that was just chaos.
Yeah, I
We
bet it
were
was.
hot messes.
How has your time on that show, like, changed your life?
So the time on the show, um, I have a pretty active social life outside of the Lego community, outside of Lego Masters. I'm very involved with the Zumba community. I teach dance fitness. Um, and I also live in a very small community, so just always busy. Like I told you, I can't like go outside my house and without running into someone. Every time I go to Walmart, it's like, all right, I might as well start wearing a mask.
Mhm.
Um, so it's always been very chaotic, but
Mhm.
in a great way. After Lego Masters, it put my business on a map, which was great because during the pandemic, I was basically working for donations. I
Mhm.
was getting paid crackers and I was spending more on batteries for my engineering for my Lego battery packs for than anything. But I wanted to I still had the mission to teach engineering to kids, you know what I mean, through play. So this has allowed me to travel. This has allowed me to finally, be able to afford my bills. So,
Yeah.
um, it, like to be able to earn a living. Like I choose to have multiple jobs right now, but it has allowed to. let me live comfortably
Good.
all through play, all through
Yeah.
play. So
Yeah.
that and I've connected with some pretty amazing people.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's amazing that that time on the show has opened up opportunities for you to continue to do the things that you love, right? Being able to teach children about, design and using to do that. Um, and of course, like you also noted, you met some really awesome people. I always get the sense every time I see another season of Lego Masters, just how close the cast is, and people from the show just naturally, I think, developing these friendships because you all shared, this very unique experience. I would say being on this show together. Um, but yeah, that's really great to hear, and I'm glad that it's definitely helped your ability to do the thing that you want to do. It sounds like it's if anything helped you do more of this of the things that you're passionate about. So yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely given me an opportunity to share more of my love for STEM. So, and sharing the importance, the impact that it has on kids, you
yeah,
know. So,
that's great. For since you've been doing this for you said I think around 9 years in terms of teaching in this way, where do you hope this goes for you? Like what kind of future plans do you have doing this sort of thing?
so one thing is, I'm not a Lego purist. Lego is just a medium for me. It's plastic. During the pandemic, like I said, I started Powered by Tacos, but I was also working at a museum and I was still teaching STEM
Hmm.
using toilet paper rolls,
Yeah.
popsicle sticks. I still have a huge passion for learning about Da Vinci, you know, Piet Mondrian. Like, I still have this passion and I still believe it's important to continue showing that. So, with or without, like, 10 years from now, it's, I just still want to be able to teach and share my passion and the importance because I believe that everyone has the ability to contribute to society, honestly.
Yeah.
So, and it's for better. As much as I joke around with dancing and stuff like that, I really think education is paramount and want to make sure that others continue. Like I feel like we're in a TikTok generation as I go through TikTok myself. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that our attention span keeps getting limited. But, I'm hoping that, using Lego can grab someone's attention and teach them something for the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So, whether I'm traveling or whatever, I'm hoping that my mission is still the same, which is teaching engineering
Yeah.
through play.
That's wonderful. And I think that's such a noble goal, and I really appreciate that because I think uh, I honestly don't think enough people do that or encourage it in society. So I think what you're doing is just an amazing thing, and using something like Lego, and like you said, you're not a purist. Using other tools and means to do so, I think that's awesome. And personally, you know, I can't think of a more fulfilling mission, I think, in terms of like getting people excited about that, getting young minds excited about STEM and science and engineering. That's great. And the fact that Lego, I mean, is so gosh, it's pretty I mean, it's more expensive than a lot of other toys, but in some ways it's also very accessible, right? Because they're just building
Absolutely.
blocks. They're just a type of building block. And the fact that people can learn so much through play using these little plastic bricks, that's freaking awesome. Absolutely.
Uh, yeah, the fact that it's accessible and that it's lightweight, because you could just use a handful and still learn and still create, and still fall in love with such a small geometric little piece.
Yeah.
The piece of plastic. Who knew that a piece of plastic can like clutch us all together? So that to me is beautiful. So I got to hang out with Nathan Sawaya, which is a great brick artist. And question time and time he receives is why Lego? Well, it's a lot cheaper than marble. He doesn't say it's a lot cheaper than marble, but once again, it's accessibility. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We could be using any kind of medium. We could be using gold, but is it as accessible though? You know, can we be using diamonds? Is it as accessible? You know what I
Right.
mean? So the idea of using plastic, I think is something beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And I think that uh for those of us who are into Lego, I think not everyone uh remembers or realizes how how important it can be to teach those concepts to children or young minds in general. The fact that it can also be used as a vehicle to learn and to teach people about certain concepts that you would see in engineering or science. And so on honest, because I think I think honestly, when you look at like the Lego, like the AFOL community, right? That's not a concept that's widely discussed or talked about, and that for this reason alone, that's why I actually really wanted to talk to you, because I really appreciate that you are using Lego in such a way that uh, is so honestly just, I think, beneficial to the growth and development of young people. Honestly, I mean, a lot of us just use it as a fun little toy that we like to collect, and we build a fun little set. We put it on the shelf. We admire it, but at the end of the day, there are so many other applications and uses of it. And of course, Lego was invented as a toy for children. So I feel like what you're doing is just such a wonderful way to almost honor the idea of Lego in the first place, right? Which is learning cool things through play. And so yeah, that's awesome. I really think that's great. And honestly, I think you're doing something that not a lot of people are able to do. So well done on that. Well done on that end. Um, great.
Well, I have to give credit. I have a good support system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have people who encourage me. Although my parents don't know what Lego is still, like they saw me on the show for like a blip, you know.
Right.
It's not in their culture to use play. They were in the survival culture. You know what I mean? They moved to this country. They just focus on getting a job so they could provide for us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So play is not something that comes easy to them. But I've been gifted the opportunity to teach to the elderly community as well, to try and bring back some play because it actually does help. Play is important for us developmentally, even in our older age, just because we experience dementia, Alzheimer's, and that's your brain atrophying, from disease, but from lack of use. Sometimes you'll have your grandparents just they're just watching TV, and it's because they're not physically active, and you know what I mean. And so you kind of sadly rot.
Yeah.
You start like your brain starts to decay. So bringing play back at all ages, I think it's extremely important, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to somehow um, bring it back full circle.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly trying to incorporate this with my own family. So
Yeah. That's a great point when it comes to adults and, like you said, older adults. This is also another way to keep their brains and their minds fresh. I didn't think of it that way, and I think that's also great. When you mention bringing your family into it, how are you doing that? What kind of approaches are you taking, getting them into it?
uh, so randomly, my brother started seeing someone, and uh, the person that they're seeing started bringing kind of like our family a little bit more together. So, like I said today, we did roller skating. I haven't been roller skating with I myself. I will roller skate all the time with my daughter,
Hmm.
but with like my siblings and their kids, you know what I mean. So we're starting to have more family time together, but in more unconventional ways, which is through play. And that to me, is is everything because my business is I feel like I master the business of play.
Hmm.
So so yeah, just something as simple as, oh yeah, obviously I'll put on a Lego set or whatever, but bringing exposure to Lego with them, you know what I mean? But not only Lego, just regular puzzles and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
all this family unity is through some form of play, which is important for me.
Yeah. That's really great. That's really great to hear too. It sounds like it's actually blending a bit of what you're doing professionally. Now it's kind of going into like your family life, your personal side of things. You're also applying uh those goals that you're working towards in terms of using play to either teach or bring people together. That's really awesome. Yeah. What keeps you motivated to continue to be so active in, well, Lego and the Lego community and being involved like that?
Kids are basically what inspire me to constant change. I'm not very much different from the kids. Like I have the same attention span. I have more in common with a 7-year-old than I do with someone my own age. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because they're constantly evolving and their their creativity is ridiculous. I
Hmm.
mean, I got to hang out, what is it, last week, and I was in Boston, and I got to hang out at the Children's Boston's Children's Hospital,
Yeah.
and we had to. I was with a couple of Lego masters, and one of the things that is that we had a superhero challenge. So we were just given a bag with random bricks, and we had to create a story. And just hearing the kids' stories, I it just I'm still in awe because they came up with stuff that I would never in my wildest dreams ever came up with.
Mm.
So they're my biggest inspiration, and so I constantly read children's books because of that. So season two, Jen Smart, she's a fabulous builder, but the way she trained for the Lego Masters show is that she watched a lot of Pixar movies.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, I never even thought of that." Here I'm like doing speed challenges, like a mo, like, and I realized, oh my gosh, storytelling is so huge, and it's not even only for building. It's like, say, you're video game designing, creating a book or just uh, journalism. You have to come in with a new, fresh perspective. Try not to recreate too many things because people get tired. So, yeah, children's books, hanging out with kids, going to the playground. I go to a lot of kid functions and not so I could pass on my business cards, but more so I can read people, read, I just basically draw inspiration from kids.
Yeah. Helps you
Yeah,
relate too, right? Reading those books and being in those spaces, it really helps you connect with them when you're working with them, I imagine.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Once again, you see me with kids and I'm not a whole different person. I think a strong balance of assertive leader, but I'm with the child, We
Right.
call each other "bruh," "Really, bruh?" You know? But,
Yeah.
I'm not like a stern teacher, but, having a healthy balance, because if you're around someone that's stern the entire time, you're gonna behave in a certain way, you're gonna express yourself in a certain way, and I don't want to hinder their creativity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. What do you happen to have a favorite children's book that you like a lot more than the others?
That's a hard one. Oh my gosh. So, I go to the library a lot.
Mhm.
Like, we check out around 20 books at a time. Before, it was way more than that. But now I don't have as much time, so we check out about 20 books. Uh, I'll share a couple of the books that I read recently. Oh, it was perfect. So once again, representation. This
Hmm.
book is called Wepa. Wepa is uh, an expression of excitement. It's like "opa" or "yay,"
Hmm.
you know what I mean? It's about a little girl who has too much wepa, which means she has too much
She's
excitement, and
yeah, super excited.
she needs to, release her energy.
Yeah,
And, her entire family's like, "Oh my gosh, we need to put." Well, she discovers dance, and of course, there she was able to really, um, release all of her energy, which I thought was really cool. I was like, "Okay, here you have a book about representation and also talking about ADHD." I thought that was a really beautiful marriage,
yeah.
because you don't get to see that in many of the books. Um, there's another one as well. I forgot the name of this one, but it was a little girl who, um didn't like too many loud noises. So she, I don't remember exactly how it goes, but once again, it's showing not a disability, but a characteristic that not every child is crazy. She just likes her space. She doesn't like to be touched. She doesn't like it as loud. I thought that was actually really cool.
Yeah.
Rosie Revere, Engineer, is hands down one of my favorite books. Um, in the past, I don't know, 5 years. Um, and it's that whole line of different kinds of engineering and STEAM, through children. So, yeah, Rosie Revere, Engineer, was a huge inspiration for me. Um, and it's kind of like the model I go to when I teach every engineering class. I was like, yeah, you can do
Hmm.
it through failure. I always say in my classes, the faster you fail, the quicker you get to your success. And I always share about the first person who, um, invented the vacuum cleaner. He failed over 400 times, but who's laughing all the way to the bank? You know what I
Right.
mean? We get discouraged after 4 or 5 times. What the heck? Most of us get discouraged after the second or third time. Guy went over 400 times, and that in order to get his success, but he was determined. So
Hmm.
it's okay to fail. It's part of life.
It is. It definitely is, and
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. That it's really cool that you're using a lot of those same lessons that I'm sure that like inherently that you yourself are already aware of, but also leaning into those books that you've been reading, and imparting that knowledge as part of the work that you do with kids. So that's really awesome. I definitely think that uh, you're you're going about it in a way that is really honest in terms of like the fact that you already know that you relate to children really well on a level that, you know, some adults probably don't, but then that you're also using a lot of these lessons that can be garnered from these books and also finding ways to relate that to your students.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. On this
I'm grateful. I'm
you're
grateful.
grateful.
That's what I am.
Yeah. Um as someone who uses Lego and other vehicles or tools to teach STEM to kids, do you notice any future trends or anything that anyone that is wanting to do the same should look to in terms of teaching these concepts to kids?
I get a lot of parents who tell me that their kids are going to school for mechanical engineering,
Mm.
and that makes me extremely happy. I'm not sure if this has anything to do with what you had asked, because once again, I have a very
Oh, it
short
is.
attention
No,
span.
you're good. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Um, but yeah, that's basically I asked, observe what the kids are into, and push them. Um, Not that if they want to start studying psychology or sociology or philosophy, not to do it, but something that once again we need electricians.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, I have been blessed to be able to have a career in teaching people to be creative and to understand engineering. But um, if you see that a child is talented or takes a special interest and is stubborn about certain things, yeah, push them towards it, but also finding a balance, so they could learn something else. Once again, learning a secondary, having a secondary trade, I think is important because once again, we don't need another pandemic. But if it does happen, or you fall on hard times, or something happens to your health, um, having some other, if you're mechanical engineering, it's okay to understand, to get singing lessons. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Something with the heart, something that's mandatory, not mandatory, something that's essential for the community,
Hmm.
and something that can be passive, that can be used as a hobby, something that's used to for catharsis, something for beauty. I don't even know. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
No,
It's just
no, I
it's
see.
nice to have a balance.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
it's giving them the ability to not just look at things in one way, but also look at and develop other talents or other passions that they might have in addition to something in the science and engineering world, but also
you said that beautifully.
oh, thanks.
Exactly what he
Nailed
said,
it.
y'all.
Nailed
What
it.
he said.
Look at me go. How you know how do you structure some of those lessons that you teach? Because I mean you do it through play, but what's a good example of like some of your favorite lessons when you use Lego or something like that when teaching children a concept?
Um, so say I don't have my Lego teaching kit because I have a massive Lego kit, and say I just show up to like a preschool. I go based on what the age range is. I'm not going to have a 16-year-old and a 3-year-old in the same room. Uh, I try and have a same age range.
Hmm.
I sometimes go off by their interest and ability to build.
Hmm.
Sometimes it would be completely, like a structural challenge. It could sometimes be a mechanical challenge, but usually if it's someone that has never had any kind of, um, Lego experience, I usually go with structural because we all kind of know how to use wooden blocks.
Right.
So doing something very, very basic, and then storytelling. Sometimes, storytelling is what saves the day. Same thing for Lego Masters. Sometimes the build doesn't save the day, but it's the storytelling. Um, that'll definitely help. And that's what will entertain someone who doesn't like to clutch bricks, who feels uncomfortable using their creativity and using something that's personal to them, some kind of history or just something that they come up with that doesn't have to be physically the Lego that come up with. So, trying to entertain that because there are parents who will sign your child up, their child up for stuff that they have never experienced or they have no interest in, and that's because they just need a program for their child.
Hmm.
So, I try to marry all that. That way, everyone has an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like you really try to tailor it for the
I
audience, like the
y-
particular group you're working with at the time.
yeah,
Okay.
basically.
I like that. What do you find to be some of the most challenging things in this job that you have in terms of trying to teach as well as using something like Lego? What kind of things have been hard for you?
Theft.
Really? I see.
I once taught I once taught a superhero class, and I had like 3 Spider-Mans and a Hulk. A Hulk, a Hulk. You know how expensive a Hulk minifigure is? Hulk!
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, "What?"
Oh no.
Or, one group of kids, not gonna say who they were, but it
Sure.
was a homeschooling group.
Uh-huh.
There was one day that there was 2 motors missing. The following day, there was a total of, like, almost 8 motors missing, and I'm like, "How
Wow.
are the" So, the fact that I had to actually confront, not
Mhm.
them, the parents, be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, the session will end here, or I will charge your group, the cost of all this stuff,"
Yeah.
you know? And lo and behold, like, within 20 less than 30 minutes, all my motors were back.
They all magically
I
reappeared.
walked outside the house. I'm not exactly sure what kind of screaming, because this was a really nice neighborhood, so you couldn't hear any kind of screaming.
Yeah.
So, who knows if they took away their TVs, their 3DSs, and all that stuff. But,
Wow.
within half an hour, they said, "Yeah, we have them for you." It's like,
Wow.
"Okay."
Okay. I guess
Yeah.
that shouldn't surprise me. That's a good answer.
Um, Who would have known? Who would have
Yeah.
known? Um, Unfortunately, one of the biggest challenges is working with other adults who try to control how my class is structured. There's some
Mhm.
people that really like order. One thing that I always put in my own invoices, I hope we have a positive sorry, what is it? Looking forward to having to creating positive chaos. You know,
Yeah.
my class is loud. My kids are going to swirl around. They're not going to be sitting. They are free to roam and go from bin to bin and to interact. They're build with others and take things apart and throw things. Not launch, but
Yeah, yeah.
not in a destructive way. But my class is noisy, so I don't let parents stay in because they sometimes get scared. You know what I mean? Because the decibel level just gets so high. But these kids are just excited.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, controlling parents and other facilitators or people who try to facilitate when I'm already the facilitator.
Right. They're kind of getting in the way of the process potentially.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
Once again, I try not to hinder the kids because this is I'm the fun teacher. You know what I mean? I'm the
Right.
time that they really look forward to the entire week. So, um, and they may not be the best behaved kids, but once they're in my program, they're behaving. Why? Because they want to build, they want to create. So, once again, they could be rats outside the classroom, but they absolutely love Lego. So, once again, I want to make sure that just because they're misbehaving out there, I don't want them to think that, all right, oh well, you weren't being a good listener in Mrs. Smith's class. I'm going to take this away. Like I want it to be like an open mind, like a clean slate by the time they get to my classroom.
Yeah. That that's a really good point. Um, um getting getting them excited to build, and like you said, like potentially other adults or other people trying to come in and kind of mess with that uh with your plans can sometimes make that more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of touched on like talking about like building structures, but in addition to that, are there any specific science or engineering principles or concepts that are quite well suited for Lego in particular?
Ooh. So yeah, the simple brick. There's there's a it may be a cube, well not quite a cube, but there's a lot of engineering in just here. You have dimensions, you have different sides, you have edges, you have a weight. It all applies in the engineering and the physics field. We talk about compression, we talk about tension, we talk about time over matter, like we talk about distance with our mechanical stuff. We talk about speed. We talk a lot about torsion. So I'm not wearing them now, but like I wear earrings with gears on them. You can see them featured on the show. Um, and so I call them my gearings. So we talk about that, and we over talk about it. Actually, I even had the Lego Masters, the judges themselves, like come and play with my
Yeah.
earrings, my gearings for a while. Um, it was a lot of it, it's a lot of fun. We like to really show the possibility of all the things that we can do with a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
But how it applies to the real world. Like for example, we do conveyor belts. We talk about the different locations where we can find conveyor belts in our everyday life, not just on TV in the factory, but something as simple as going to the post office. You know what I mean? There's a conveyor belt there. There's so many Japanese restaurants where you order your food and it now comes on a conveyor belt. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
we talk about the physics behind that, the friction, the speed, even using a real world adaptation for the child if they don't have access to the post office, um, the 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 grocery store. That's a simple conveyor belt right there. And we just talk about the how efficient it is. Everything about engineering is to make life simple.
Hmm.
So we really try and apply how everything is not in just a fantasy, it's not sci-fi, it's how they could apply it. Because once again, my students, yeah, there are days that we do fantasy style stuff, but it's always on how can they contribute to society. And they're learning through play, but the goal is how can they apply it in the real world.
Yeah. I like that. I like that uh, perspective of like what is the real world application here? How does this affect something that you can look at in the real world and say this is why this is useful? I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
So with my kid, like I always talk about, education is paramount. Um, we joke around and I'm like, oh yeah, by the time you get to college, you're going to go to college. You're going to have a minimum of a bachelor's because, the requirement is getting higher and higher. You got to have your doctors, you got to have your whatever. I was like, get your bachelor's, whatever, just get that out of the way. The whole point is that you are able to contribute to society and not just become a consumer.
Hmm.
So, in some way or other, you will contribute to society, whether you choose to use that degree or not. But just have a skill level to contribute to society.
Yeah.
Um, we just look outside all the time, and it's unfortunately, I hate saying it. It's like here's a panhandler, and yeah, sometimes they've just uh had a rough time in life, and unfortunately, sometimes they're in this position, but oftentimes it's the lack of education sometimes and many times, and it's just like the whole point of educating ourselves is to somehow uh, not only be successful, but what can we contribute, what can we do for ourselves, what can we do for our legacy, which is our family, how can we provide. So once again, just education, and then through play, it's more relatable and it's more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that uh philosophy is very important. Given how I think society now doesn't always have that emphasis of contributing in a positive way, right? I don't think you hear that as much these days, which is super unfortunate, but it's something that's very valuable. And um, I appreciate your viewpoint on that, making sure that you're teaching that out and modeling it of saying, hey, this is how you can contribute in some way, or like thinking about like encouraging people to think about that particular thing, because I don't think we hear enough of that anymore. So thank you for
But
calling that out.
every STEAM teacher is super different. Yeah, I just see Brickman Mosaic commenting. Yeah, Corey Sams. So he is actually someone who I coordinate with, and we
Hmm.
teach geared up STEM together. But he was one of the three contestants of season one that I saw, and I was like, I know that face, and
Hmm.
it's because he also worked for the same old company as I did, and he has a completely different approach as a STEM teacher himself. He does the same exact thing as I do, but he has a whole different approach. He was like an art major in college,
Mm,
and so can imagine here I am with an engineering background. Here he is with an art background. It's just like so you can imagine the creativity that comes with him. Sometimes my stuff can be a little dry because mine is just like structural and this and that, and
yeah,
he's like he does a lot of cool storytelling. I'm like, this is what I need. So hence why we paired up and we do geared up STEM together at many conventions and
yeah,
many work opportunities. But it, STEM teachers, we have a really cool opportunity to really connect with people. And yeah, some of us have stronger skills in certain areas, but I think overall the kids still get all this creativity and they get to have all this fun. So it's pretty cool.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of different ways, I imagine, to approach that, to approach STEM and all the things that you could teach with it. I imagine there's so many different approaches available.
Yeah.
You know, you yourself using uh Lego specifically to teach, engineering concepts through play. So yeah. When it comes to Lego, when you're not when you're not teaching STEM or doing that, what kind of things do you like to do with Lego on your own time outside of that?
I like to mock. I'm not one who I do buy sets every once in a while. Actually, what is it? I did a live stream the other day with Evan, and I was like, "Why I have this whole backlog. Why am I rushing? Why am I rushing on the first day of the month to
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 grab
get the
these
new releases
sets.
when I have a whole backlog?"
Yeah.
But the reason why I have a backlog is because I focus more on mocking.
Hmm.
Uh, so I do like creating my own stuff. Um, I like to do more three-dimensional stuff versus mosaics, and versus like habitats. I try to create like different things. Every time I create something, I try to take a whole different approach, whether it's building a mech, whether it's building a person, just trying to think outside the box, not think outside the box comparative to anyone else, but to my own skills. So just try a little bit of everything.
Right.
So that's what I try and focus on. What is it? Recently, I am starting to go with. I've never built like a small scene with like minifigures. Before, I used to use a minifigure, like every once in a while, but not really building a scene kind of thing. So that's kind of like what I'm doing now. I built my wings before, so I wanted to do like cosplay style. Actually, you got to see my wings, right?
Yeah.
Was
Those
that
are
was
cool.
that where was that? That was in Utah,
It was in
Brick
Utah.
Slopes.
Yeah.
That's when I first met you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before that, I forgot what the heck it was. I was into greebling. So every month I tried to pick up a new um special technique, I guess,
Yeah.
building technique. Um, But yeah, I still like to mock. I with Lego, I make my own Lego jewelry. I sell that Lego jewelry as well. Um, I try to. I sometimes take commissions, but once again, I'm a very freestyle builder. I'm not like I don't design anything on studio. Everything is basically what I have in front of me. I'm part of a lug, and every month they have a challenge, and you get an entire month. I usually build the day of or the day or the night before or a couple hours before. I once actually even did a live stream. I'm like, the theme is pirates. What to build. So I literally I just took my teaching kit that's always in my car. I'm like, I have 2 hours. You guys are gonna stay with me. And so I built like this little kraken underneath like a pirate ship boat, my version of a pirate ship boat.
Yeah.
And I was like, I build on the fly. I can't you can't give me all this time because I am in my head, I have failed if you give me 30 days. So I need 2 hours. That's it.
Right.
Just give me 2 hours
I
and I
operate
will
the
build
same
for you.
way. I operate the same way.
Now
Did
do
that
you Mark?
do I mock? So I for a very long time when I got back into Lego, I did not mock. I did a lot of sets because I was like, there's Lego's come a long way since I played with Lego.
Yeah.
So I built a lot of sets, but nowadays I still do sets more than I mock, but I do now that I have all these parts after like 2 years of collecting Lego sets, I've been mocking more and doing things with the kiddos.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's build a thing. Let's sit down and build something fun. So I'm getting there actually, and that's certainly something as a personal goal that I've been wanting to be able to mock more. So I appreciate that you yourself are saying, hey, I'm learning different techniques, or I challenge myself with something different, because I think that's just a great way to get more skilled as a builder, And so, um, yeah. So for me, I used to not because I had as a kid, I did have Lego as a kid, and so. Um, I passed it off to my parents as just like, hey, because Lego
Get out.
can be
Get out. Get
educational.
out. Wait, you cast off your Lego? Wait, you gave it to them?
No, 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 no. So no, when I say I passed it, like when I was trying to get toys as a kid, right? I'd be
Oh, okay.
like, oh, hey, Lego's educational, which it
Okay.
was, but I was also like, this also looks like a really cool space set, so I want it. But yeah, I had a dark ages. I loved Lego up until I, was like 12 or 13, and then, I kind of stopped playing with toys as much. And then as an adult, I would buy little sets here and there. And then it wasn't until the pandemic when I was looking for things to do, I bought like an R2D2, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, let's Lego's rad." And so that's kind of my short version of like getting back into Lego as an adult. And it's been like 2.5 years since then, and have built many sets and some mocks in that time. So I
Nice.
can appreciate your wanting to work on particular skills or techniques, because that's just something that I know that I should do. So I'm a little inspired. I should start doing that more regularly.
Well, the demand for Lego, I'm sorry, the during the pandemic, I remember they had quoted, I think it was over 500 sets in year 2020. They came out over 500 sets. And it's like, that's not even 2 sets a month. That's like, how many sets is that a month?
Yeah.
That to me was just like, I was experiencing FOMO, fear of missing out. If like I started looking at everyone I followed, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're getting that set, they're getting the set.
Yeah.
So it's just like the stress of like, I need the set, I need the set, I need this, and I found myself spending. And
Hmm.
I'm someone who tried, like I don't do credit cards. So if I don't have the cash for it, I just don't get it. So having to keep up with the latest build, that is stressful. Not only
Hmm.
is it expensive, it's stressful, and it's just psychologically, it's crippling, and it's not a healthy mindset for
Yeah.
myself and to teach my child and to teach the community. So there was someone, his name is Thomas. I'm not sure what Thomas's last name is. He goes by Minimal Bricks, and something as simple as, why are you storing your Lego boxes? What
Hmm.
value is it bringing to you?
Hmm.
Something as simple as throwing my Lego boxes away, I was like, it was a relief for me. I was
Yeah.
like, why am I holding on to these freaking Lego boxes as I have like two of them behind me? Don't look, don't look, don't look. I like the big boxes. I keep a couple big
Me
boxes.
too. Me too.
Um, but something as simple as that, out of sight, out of mind.
Hmm.
I don't those boxes are not benefiting me because I wasn't really I'm not someone who sells my Lego. I'm someone who uses all the pieces. I'll sometimes break down a Lego set so I can reuse those pieces. So, learning how to mock and learning how to minimize my collection, not minimize as if I'm getting rid of it, but like learning how to use what it is that I have has given me uh, freedom and has given me grace, I guess, to appreciate Lego in its form, appreciate everyone else's beautiful mocks, appreciate the sets that are designed and that Lego puts out there. But it has given me like freedom to recreate someone else's build. Create. I don't feel chained to what the next hype is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it has given me freedom. That's
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being redundant here, but like
No.
I don't feel like I yes, the Pac-Man set. That's like something that I'm like missing out on. Eventually I will get the Pac-Man set. I know it's gonna be out there for at least a year more. So,
Yeah.
but because that's not something that I'm gonna recreate because it's all techniques and
Yeah.
I can imagine reading the instructions and having to access all those pieces throughout my collection. I'm just gonna buy that set eventually. But most of these sets, I could recreate them with my collection, and but I'm not in urgent need to recreate them now. Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
because there's so many other cool things that I can create. That's my own, once again, creativity.
Yeah. It sounds like you just are making the most of what you have and really prioritizing the importance of uh, making the things that you want to make. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what
that.
I try.
Yeah. Definitely. I think the FOMO thing is very common amongst AFOLs. I
Yeah,
believe, like, I go through that. I see it all the time. Definitely when there's hype for like a new set or something's coming out, and then everyone's excited about it. You see all the information coming out from Lego themselves, their social media, or any other, person out there who sees the news. It just becomes this whole big thing, and then you don't want to miss out on that. So I get that same feeling too, where it's like,
Mm,
oh, that new set's coming out, looks awesome, and then for a moment I have to stop and ask myself, but do I need that today? Am I
yeah.
gonna build it anytime soon? Like you, I have a bit of a backlog, and I have to stop and look at it before I make the decision to get something new that's coming out. Because I'm like, I have
We're,
Lego that I could build.
we as a culture, American culture, it's okay to say that,
Hmm.
we're putting our wants before our needs. And that's crippling, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially as a grower. But once again, Lego is a business. This a toy industry. It is a toy industry. Don't get yourself into financial ruin for something that was designed for kids.
yeah, yeah,
So once again, I'm not a purist. I love play. I master the business of play, but
yeah,
I'm not going to put myself financial ruin, and I'm not going to try and show these bad habits to my students, my friends, especially my family.
yeah.
So
I respect it.
if
I
they
love it.
want me, if they want me to promote it, then they have to ship that stuff to me. Then yeah, here's the cool set, but I'm not about to shell out. What is it, 550 for the it's a freaking beautiful the Lord of the Rings set.
Yeah,
That set is gorgeous, but
it's beautiful.
I can't afford that. I can't
Yeah,
afford that.
I
That's a TV right there. That price.
yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that 100%. So I respect it, and I think you are being very sensible in terms of like, is this something that I need, right?
Mm,
Versus is it a want, right? So
mm.
yeah, I think you're absolutely correct in that way.
So fun fact: my teammate myself probably had the smallest Lego collection out of all the AFOL that were cast into our season.
Really.
Yeah. So I do buy Lego, but it is for my business. I
Hmm.
buy stuff for my students. Sometimes it's polybags, sometimes it's a little set, sometimes it's to add to the educational kit that I provide my everyday class. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I spend maybe $500, but it's not going to be on a set. It's going to be on motors. It's going to be on wires. It's going to be on 2x4 bricks, you know.
Hmm.
So I don't have the luxury. I can say, I will buy a nice set every once in a while. What is it? I bought the Van Gogh recently. That
Mm,
was beautiful. So
that
I was
was
like, okay,
beautiful.
like of course I have to. No, I don't have to, but you know what I mean. It's like every once in a while I will treat myself.
Yeah,
So
I think that's you're being very responsible about it, and making the choices that are important for you, and doing, especially, given y- you're a role model, right? Given just by sheer fact of being someone who teaches, right?
yeah.
You're a role model, and so I think you're being very responsible in that sense. Far more responsible than probably most AFOLs. Let's be real. But yeah, absolutely.
uh, well, my thing is that yes, I'm an advocate for STEAM, but I'm also a mom,
Hmm.
and I try and use whatever resources I already have. So
Hmm.
that's what I try and teach. So when there is a kid that's in my class and they're like, "Oh, I don't have motors like this," and I'm like, "Well, technically, you could still add a mechanical move. You could add some movement. You don't necessarily need a motor. This is a way that you can um, add movement to your build. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? With the pieces that I have here, I'm sure you have many of these pieces which are very similar. I try not to have too crazy pieces. I like to use pieces that they have access to already. So I will buy a set every once in a while and see what pieces are actually common. So
Yeah.
that way, kids, once again, try and recreate, try and make things at home and inspire them.
Yeah. Love it. That I'm I'm really glad that I got to learn all these things about you and your, I think what you're like, how do I put it? What you're passionate about. I think this is awesome. This is a side of you that I don't, get to see as much, cuz, I only generally
You know me from AFOL After
I
Dark.
know you from AFOL After Dark, right? So,
Oh,
it's the side of you I don't get to see. So I really appreciate you sharing a lot of that. So thank you. Um Speaking of AFOL After Dark, let's talk a little bit about that. So I've had Ben on here, I've had Evan on here. I've had the pleasure of being on this show and hanging out with the three of you. For those that don't know AFOL After Dark, I want to hear your version of what you think of, or how you would describe that show in that time.
So AFOL, the average AFOL adult fan of Lego, um, let's be honest, oftentimes they're socially awkward. Uh, so the three of us, we're a crew of um, fan of Lego that just kind of shoot the breeze
Yeah.
after hours. So it gets heck weird. It gets hella weird
It
at
gets
times.
weird for sure.
The later it gets, the later it is in the evening of the show, the weirder the content gets. Like, not as weird, surprisingly, as with the Twitch community when it comes to like having giant emotes and then dancing. But sometimes there is dancing. So sometimes
Yes.
we play games. Sometimes sometimes, which is like 0.5% of the time, we do share Lego, and it's more like, hey, what are you building? Because remember, it is an AFOL channel. Oh, okay, here, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
So we kind of contradict each other, and yeah, once again, it's adults that are fan of Lego enjoying beverages after hours.
Mhm.
So yeah, it is 18 plus, and we're pretty casual. We're pretty sarcastic. All we do is basically banter. So sometimes you will get ridiculed for talking about Lego too much or pulling out Lego too much. Even for a Lego show,
Yeah.
it's like, really, you still building tacos? Yes, I'm still building because I like to mock.
Uh, I love it. So how'd you get involved with the show? I kind of heard a little bit, I think, of Ben's take on it, but tell me about how you got started with AFOL After Dark.
So, oh my gosh, when so the Lego community for me when I first started building was through Facebook, and that community is definitely different. I would have to say it's an older demographic, a lot more Europeans, maybe in the community that I was involved with. Um, so once I started using IG, I had more American friends, and it was easier to communicate because we had a similar time zone. So here I'm talking to people in Germany, it's like, okay, have a good night, oh, have a good morning, you know what I mean? It's so it was
Yeah.
easier on IG to find Americans, I guess. I don't know why.
Hmm.
But yeah, with Ben, maybe it started like about a year ago. He had asked, who was it? He had asked if I wanted to do a live stream. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Um, I noticed that we quickly were witty and started bantering. I'm like, okay, this feels super normal. Um, yeah, I don't even remember how it started. It was
Hmm.
like 2 weekends in a row, like we just live streamed, and it just seemed completely natural for us. And people were actually really enjoying um our repartee, and slowly it became like a habit. It was like a month straight that we were live streaming, and people were really liking it. And uh we had like these small group chats, and we started incorporating some other AFOL. So our other two AFOL were actually from Canada, and at the time, and yeah, we were pretty consistent. And um it was like, okay, we need a name. What kind of name do we get? And so we put out a poll, and lo and behold, AFOL After Dark was the winner. I'm like, it makes sense. Here we're just shooting the breeze. Many brick chats are mostly involved with like, what's your favorite Lego set? What's your favorite piece? When did you start Lego? When did you do this? And
Yeah,
everything is
yeah,
heavily focused on Lego, and ours is just shooting the breeze. So you feel like kind of you're hanging out more than like an interview. So we get to be casual. You get to see each other be more stupid. I'm sorry to say it like that, and be
yeah.
more casual, and just it's like we're sorting at home, and we're just drinking, and we're just it feels like we're just hanging out with each other and
Right.
no one else. So that basically became the trend, and here we are. We started becoming like official during, I think, Brick World last year.
Mm.
I think that's when we were like official, and we did a live stream in person, and that was a fun experience because it was a hot mess. And between someone spilling their drink on the camera, and it was just hilarious. I'm like, this is what we are. We're professionally drunk. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just we're just having fun. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel forced. We're just chilling. We're just chilling.
Yeah.
So, and we're hoping that, other people can tell that, that we're not being scripted. Script. It's not a script. And that we're just regular AFOL, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have like an air in this community of like who has the biggest set, who has the biggest display, who is land, who is this, who has all the best setup. The best setup is like such a big thing with, how beautiful this is, how many lights, or it it makes people kind of like makes you feel like someone's a celebrity. And it's like we just adult playing with kids' toys.
Yeah. It's true.
Whether it's Lego, whether it's collecting Funko Pop, or whether it's connecting, Marvel figures, we're just adults with toy money, with money that we
It's
wanted
true.
when we were kids to go to the toy store. So
Yeah.
like get off your high horse. We're just here chilling. So that's basically what we want to be. We just
Yeah. I love it. That's what I love
enjoy
about
fun.
the show, and when I spent time with all of you on there, I that's what I enjoyed about the whole thing, was it
Mm.
was not, "Hey, Amor, what are your thoughts on this Lego set?" Or like,
Yeah.
or are you, "What are you buying for the next Lego release day? Like, what do you think of the gift to purchase?" Like, that's fine and all good and well, whatever. But like, what I love about AFOL After Dark is, like you said, the Lego's a very small
Yeah.
fraction of what actually occurs when you're bantering and just hanging out and drinking. And
Yeah.
I love this show. I love what the three of you do, and the antics that you all get into. Normally, I'm here doing this show right around within the same time, but I always love to pull up a full after dark as soon as I'm done and chill out with you guys. I may not speak up all the time, but I usually have the show running in the background if I can. So uh, while I build Lego or drink or play video games or something, while I unwind on a Saturday night. So um,
Mm.
yeah, I appreciate the dynamic that you three have. Just it seems like you all have been doing this a lot longer than the brick world before last. It just sounds like a group of friends just having a good time. So I appreciate that. It's cool.
Mm.
It was awesome meeting the three of you at Brick Slopes, because
Brickle. Yeah.
I think at the time I had caught one or two of your episodes randomly. I think it might have been through Ben that I found you guys. I think I was following him on Instagram or something, and then I found myself in one of the AFOL After Dark streams, and I was like, this is wild. This is great. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it definitely gets weirder. It's like 10 o'clock. Okay, they're just hitting 12 o'clock. It's like his shirt is off. What's happening? It's like
Yeah.
who else's shirt is gonna come
Yeah.
off?
What's gonna
That's how
happen
it is.
next? Yeah. So I think it's great. I appreciate what you all do over there. Um, what what are your thoughts on this whole like live stream thing? I know you've tried to do some Twitch on your own in the past. What's it like for you? And you noted earlier, you don't consider yourself a content creator, but what's it like for you to do these live streams?
So, I really liked IG live stream. It was fast. It was easy. It's like live.
Quick.
It's your cell phone, so it's so easy.
Hmm.
And you get to see the people that hop on and you get to see them interact. Sometimes they just watch, or sometimes they just log on and then move on to the next thing, and that's totally fine. It's great to see people chime in and get to see us. Sometimes it's a vulnerable moment. Sometimes you're making yourself look really dumb, and sometimes it's just that they're there to hype you up. Uh, what is her name? Oh my gosh. So when I started doing Twitch stream, I was like, when it came on to Lego Masters, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start twitching after this.
Mm.
Nick, my Nick from my live stream, the winner of my stream, sorry, the winner of my season, he was like, yeah, 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 he's gotta do it, he's gotta do it. I was like, okay, fine. So I had a idea. I wanted to do some kind of STEM account. I'm like, "Ugh, wait, hold on. My students aren't on Twitch.
Hmm.
If anything, they watch a couple of YouTube videos, but I've asked them. So I was like, okay, I can't do Twitch. Yeah,
Hmm.
not for my students. So then I was like, okay, maybe I could do like a female thing, like all female channel, and just build cutesy kind of things like dreams and friends stuff. And it started off well, and then all of a sudden, someone, I think it was you, and it was someone else, not invade. Oh my gosh, when you get
Raid.
raided,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was like, it's overwhelming. Like
Yeah.
too many emojis. I call it emojis because I'm still not part. I feel like it's a lot of chaos, and it's a
It
lot of
is.
whip out. It's a lot of excitement, and that like scared me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going back to YouTube. I'm gonna go hide in my
Yeah, I'm
Instagram.
so sorry I did that to you.
No, 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 it was comical. It was
Yeah.
comical. I felt like I should have been recorded because my eyes almost fell out of my
I
head.
remember this.
I was like, "What is happening? Oh, is there is there malware on my computer?" Like, that's how it that's how it felt, and it was, awesome. According to people, that was actually good. I was like, "Oh, okay, so my computer doesn't have a virus. This is
Yeah.
great." Um But then, my schedule quickly changed, and I had to start doing, uh, traveling for conventions, so I fell off the bandwagon right away,
Mhm.
and you need to be consistent. In Instagram and YouTube, we have been consistent with AFOL After Dark, which is great because our channel has grown, our community has grown, our AFOL After Dark, viewers have grown, like, they they are part of, like, of our family, you know what I mean? They not that they are faithful, but, they expect us,
You have a
so
community.
I have a community. It's
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, we have a community, and it has been because of the consistency. With Twitch, you leave for, like, 3 weeks, uh,
Yeah,
and then boom, it's crickets after. So,
yeah.
like how you said, like, you went a week without streaming because, you were homeless, tenting in your home.
Yeah.
You see the issues you had, and that was just technical issues. Imagine you left for 3 weeks, and after all this time, you know what I mean, your community's gonna look for you, and it's like, they're gonna not that you let them down, but that they
Yeah,
people get used to the schedule, the routine.
yeah,
So with AFOL After Dark and with live streaming in general, people get used to that. So, yeah, I do live stream on my own, on IG, but it's just random. It's like, oh, look what I just
yeah.
scored. Oh my gosh, I'm about to meet up with someone. Make sure that I don't get kidnapped. You know, and I have had those live streams. So it's more just like fun. Sometimes I will take a more serious note when it involves Lego Masters because
Yeah.
uh, even though it's just a couple of us, Lego Masters are always watching our content. So, you will have Lego Masters watch this. People in the production side view everything. So just a heads up.
Noted,
Um,
noted. Hi.
yeah, they're always watching everything.
Yeah.
They are watching. So just making sure that we're on board, that we're not, you know,
You're
uh,
representing the
exactly,
show, or
exactly,
as someone who is on the show, you're representing it
exactly,
in a positive way. I
exactly.
totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I forgot what I was talking about.
Oh, I mean, we're talking about your experiences doing live streams and
Oh,
things like
oh,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah, if I'm ever talking about LEGO Masters, like the show or, the casting process, I do it more of an educational or more like, oh, a speculation, you know what I mean? It's never slander, um, it's but I try and do that with LEGO Masters,
Yeah.
other contestants, you know what I mean? Or it'll be something that's more educational, more informative stuff. But, I try and change the angle every once in a while. Every once in a while, I'll just do something that's just for fun.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that's what my account it really is. LegosTacosBurritos on Instagram. I've never changed my name since day one. I think it was like 2016 or something like that. It's always been Legos Tacos. That means I know there's no S in Lego. Blah blah blah. I went for continuity. Legos Tacos Burrito. You can't just
Yeah.
do taco because you can't just eat one taco. You got to have more than one.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there. But it's my channel is just memes, fitness, uh, and Lego.
Yeah.
So that was my account, and that's always been my account. So people are like, "Oh, wait, what kind of channel are you?" I'm like, "I'm a little bit of everything. I'm not Lego exclusive. It's just one of my hobbies. Granted, it's part of my career now. I say part of my career, as it is my total career. But yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
No, I
A
love it.
lot of memes, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, but what you see is I'm not monetized. I am just you'll hear me in my stories talk about random stuff, something as simple as like an ingrown hair in my armpit to diets to Lego to stupid memes to sharing other people's Lego content to things that
Yeah.
are educational, and then I also have STEM powered by tacos, which is mainly STEM, yeah, and more community, local community stuff. So
Yeah. I love it. I love what you do. I think that your IG account is awesome for that. I think it's more representative of you as a person, which is always cool. I think that is definitely not something you always get when you are talking about people in the AFOL community, because generally you just see their Lego side, right? And then you don't get anything else. So, I appreciate what you do on your page. And I think that's great. That's a little bit of everything. I myself could benefit from doing more of that, honestly. So, but yeah.
I
Um,
think, yeah, with sharing more of myself, I find that I can find people that I can relate to more.
yeah.
I have more people reach out because my account is more authentic versus here. This is Lego. This is the latest set, and it's just like I at this point that's just advertisement. So I'm going to mute you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, I feel horrible saying that, but I can't tell you how many people I've had to mute in the past couple of months because that's what their account is. It's just one thing, and it's just
Right.
I wanted to get to know you as a friend and as a
As a
person. Now it's
person.
just advertisement. So,
Yeah. It makes sense. I totally get it. Yeah. I think honestly that's for you, that's exactly like you're curating the content for what you want to see, and what you want to see is a more complete version of a person than just one thing. Makes sense.
mm,
I respect it. I think,
mm.
like I said, I could benefit from doing more of that. It's funny because a lot of my IG and TikTok now is actually literally every person that I bring on the show. So, um, which is kind of counter to that, in that you don't get enough of me on my own page, but
Now
it's
we need
fine.
to see.
It's
Now we
fine.
need to see this.
It's fine. It's fine.
We
But
need to
yeah.
see a more uncut.
Love it. Tacos, it's been awesome. I'm being sensitive to our time here because I know we gotta get you moving to AFOL After Dark pretty soon. But it's been wonderful getting to hear your story and the things that you are excited about. I got to, like I said earlier, learn a lot more about this side of you versus what I see on AFOL After Dark, which is also great. But getting to hear more about what you're also passionate about. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for being here. This was wonderful. It was great getting to know you.
Thanks for inviting me. So yeah, if you're gonna join me on AFOL After Dark, you're gonna notice that my lights are gonna turn red.
Oh
So
yeah,
once again,
absolutely.
it is 18 plus. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will do is I will send everyone to AFOL After Dark right after this. I do have one last ritual that we do on this show. Is the guest gets to close out the show, and so I'm going to put it on you, and you can end the show however you want. It could be a piece of advice, a piece of wisdom. It could just be you talking about uh, what what they can expect from you in the future. Anything you'd like to share, but I would love to have you close out the show. So the floor is now yours, Taco.
So yeah, I will be in 2 weeks. I'm gonna be at Atlanta BrickCon. I'm gonna bring some mocks. I'm gonna be doing some Lego stuff with my boy Corey, and we are geared up. So you'll see us in the STEM zone. So do check us out as we will be presenting multiple things. Um, yeah, expect to see a lot more fun chaos, positive chaos, I hope. My only advice is remember it's Lego is just a kid's toy. Don't take it too serious. Okay. Um we're all here and yeah, competitive being competitive is in our nature, but at the same time, don't let get the best of you. If you have boxes that aren't being put to use, feel free to sell it at a local bricks and minifigs, or just chuck it and make some more room for more backlog stuff. And pee before you go to sleep.